happening on the ground in terms of the military. You also wonder, is he that isolated? Does he not, for example, check and see what other media is doing? Is he completely depending on his military? Is he living in the world he wants to live in? What are you gleaning as you watch what's happening on the ground from what the Russian troops are doing, but also what Vladimir Putin might know?
Well, it's always hard to try to put yourself into the head of somebody like Vladimir Putin. He clearly is disconnected in many respects from what the reality is on the ground. And a lot of that is obviously a direct result of the folks that he has surrounded himself with who are afraid to tell him the truth. This is a classic dictator mentality, and I'm not surprised by it. I don't think most people are. Whether somebody eventually gets the courage to tell him the truth or not, again, we face that aspect of his personality, whereas will he accept it? Or is he going to be, you think back to Hitler, where it didn't matter what he was faced with in terms of the information he was getting. He had his own view of the world, and that was where he made his decisions on some fantasy world that he's off in. So unfortunately, Chris, I think that's we're looking at a real question mark in terms of the rationality of this individual.
And we talked about whether or not, for example, a change in the feeling, Angela, among the Russian people could push Putin away from what he's doing. And then we see this new non-governmental polling organization just came out yesterday that shows his approval rating has also gone up in recent weeks. It's now at 83%. There's no button that can be pushed, is there, of Vladimir Putin's, except for him to do what he wants to do and try to achieve what he wants to achieve?
Yes, I think so. I think that poll is shocking to many of us. Of course, you can say, if you're called on the telephone in Russia and you can get 15 years in jail for saying that this is a war, of course you're going to say you approve. But unfortunately, I think this does reflect the sort of siege mentality in Russia. The people aren't getting information about what's really happening, and they believe that they have this strong leader who's protecting them against Ukrainians and Americans and other NATO members who are trying to invade them and destroy them. So this is a really rallying the people. So I don't see, popular opposition to this is not coming through it. Many of the people who oppose it left in the first few weeks. They're no longer in Russia. So you always come back then to the inner circle. It would be the inner circle that would have something to do with changing the course of this war. But there's no evidence so far that anyone's prepared to do it.
And Colonel, finally, let me ask you about some other news we just got this morning. The Pentagon had previously postponed a planned intercontinental ballistic missile test launch out of fears that Russia would see it as escalatory. And so now they have actually canceled that test launch. Do you think it's the right decision?